A tariff back and forth between the two biggest economies in the world is worrying, but there is a sigh of relief for the rest of the world because Trump has announced a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs on 75 countries except China. However, a baseline 10% tariff that went into effect on April 5th remains in place for everyone. But why? Because China retaliated too soon. When Trump imposed a 34% reciprocal tariff on China on April 2nd, which came to a total of 54% additional tariff on the country, it retaliated with 34% tariffs on US goods. Then Trump imposed a total of 104% tariffs on China, 50% more. And China retaliated with 84% total tariff on US goods. Now, Trump has slapped a massive 125% tariff on all Chinese goods. Experts say that the average rates in China were 20.8% before Trump took charge, so that would take the tariff rate further to 145% for China. And on Truth Social, Trump posted that the measure against Beijing was taken due to lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets. He added, and I quote, "At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the US and the other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable." While China faces the heat, Trump complimented other 75 countries for not retaliating in any way and instead reaching out to the administration for talks. Beijing has filed a complaint with the World Trade Organization over bruising tariffs imposed by the US. It also called for the world to unite against Trump's aggressive trade policies and warned that it intends to fight till the end. Well, all that went bad for China because now it is the only country facing the heat from the US. While announcing these 125% tariffs on April 9, Trump said that Chinese President Xi Jinping is a smart person and that they will make a good deal if it happens.
No, I'm not concerned. I think President Xi is a very smart guy, and I think we'll end up making a very good deal. Get a phone call at some point and it'll be off to the races. It'll be a great thing for them. It'll be a great thing for us. It's going to be a great thing for the world and for humanity.
An eye for an eye makes the whole world blind though. So this back and forth tariff slapping is not good for both the countries. Economists say that while US customers and manufacturers are highly reliant on Chinese parts and goods, China's GDP will be hurt by these tariffs too. As per a New York Times report, inside China, small businesses are worried that high tariffs may make them run out of business because low cost is what is their specialty, but they were also saying that they believe in the country and its growth. But the tariff U-turn for other countries has brought a cheer, even on the Asian and US markets that rallied after the announcement. On April 9, Dow Jones was up 7.87%, Nasdaq Composite soared 12.16%, while S&P 500 climbed 9.53%. Japan's Nikkei shot up 8%, South Korea's kospi was up 5%, on Australia's ASX 200 was up 5% during early hours. And this is not the first time when Trump has rolled back his tariff decisions. Let's look at the timeline of the tariff roller coaster. First, on January 20th, as soon as he swore in as the president, Trump announced that he would implement a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico from February 1st. Then on 26th of January, he announced that he would impose 25% tariff on Colombia and would raise them to 50% in 1 week. Colombian president said he would retaliate. Then Trump quickly backed down. On February 1st, Trump signed an order to impose 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. On February 3rd, he paused on his tariffs on Canada and Mexico for 30 days and threatened new tariffs against the EU. On February 10, he imposed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium imports to be effective from March 12. On February 14, he said he would impose tariffs on foreign cars on April 2nd. On February 27, he said that the tariffs against Canada and Mexico and additional tariffs on China of 10% will go into effect from March 4, and it did go into effect on March 4, and Canada retaliated with 25% tariffs on American goods. On March 5th, Trump paused tariffs on car imports from Canada and Mexico for a month. On March 6th, many tariffs placed on Canadian and Mexican products were suspended. On March 10, China retaliated to Trump's tariffs, imposing additional 15% tariffs on American farm products and 10% on some other products. And Canada's Ontario also said that it would impose an electricity surcharge. On March 11, Trump said that he would double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium imports in response to the electricity surcharge. Then both sides had backed down. On March 12, EU and Canada had announced billions of dollars in retaliatory tariffs on US, but EU said that it would hold back tariffs until April 1st. On March 13, citing EU's plan for 50% tariffs on US whiskey and other products, Trump floated one of his biggest tariff threat. It was just a threat though, 200% charge on all alcoholic products from all EU members. On March 24th, Trump announced tariffs of 25% on countries who purchase oil from Venezuela directly or indirectly, was announced to take into effect from April 2nd. On April 2nd, Trump imposed reciprocal tariffs effective from April 9th. On April 3rd, auto tariffs of 25% came into effect. On April 4th, China retaliated to the tariffs. On April 5, Vietnam requested Trump to delay tariffs for at least 45 days, and 10% baseline tariff came into effect. On April 7, Bangladesh asked for a 3-month reprieve before tariffs were imposed, and Trump threatened China with 50% additional tariff if it does not back down from the retaliatory tariffs. On April 8, Trump announced a total 104% tariff on China effective April 9. On April 9, China retaliated with 84% total tariff on US, and the reciprocal tariffs came into effect for the world. EU approved the new tariffs on US to be taking place from next week, but Trump said that he would roll back the reciprocal tariffs for the next 90 days, bringing tariff levels to universal 10% for other countries. However, China was slapped with a total 125% tariffs. Messy, right? But for more such news and views, keep watching ET Now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.